Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in on a prominent viewer question that we got in, and that is, can the narcissist make me a narcissist? Can a psychopath make me a psychopath? In other words, can I develop this disorder basically by being with them, relating them, with them, associating with them, etc.? And we're going to address that question here in the video. And if I do answer a question for you, please feel free to make a donation here on the YouTube channel for Peace and Harmony. If I've given you some, influence or change or been a wow factor to you in your life, please feel free to donate. And because it helps me basically know that I'm providing content that is relevant and helping you to radically change and transform your life. So if you've had that wow factor or experience in your life, please do feel free to make a donation. And before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to a viewer in the Arizona area and I want to thank you so much for your recent donation to the Peace and Harmony channel and your positive feedback. It makes me feel so good when I get emails and responses back from viewers that the content has been life-changing. You've been able to have kind of those, aha moments and being able to clarify your perspective, and things have really kind of settled in and resonated and worked for you in your life. So thank you so much for your donation and your positive feedback. It really means the world to me. So thank you once again. And I want to really zoom in and focus in a little bit more in depth on that viewer question. And that is, can I become a narcissist through associating with or being around or keeping in my family system? Can I become a narcissist? Can I become a psychopath just by virtue of associating with this person? Can I develop this? And my answer for you is unequivocally yes. And that is based on specifically the law of psychological reciprocity. The law in social psychology of social reciprocity basically means that people tend to respond energetically or vibrationally or within a thought pattern along the same neural network in kind as they find within that person. So for example, and that's why I talk in my book about how important it is for you to surround yourself for different kinds of people who remind you of who you are, your healed self, your strong self, your empowered self, and then begin to remind you and then enact and trigger you subconsciously in that area so you can begin to feel, emanate, and think and live in that positive, healed vibrational state. Because yes, because of the psychological law of reciprocity, you especially if you are, targeted and surrounded by this type of person on a frequent basis, i.e. a daily basis, a weekly basis, an ongoing basis, you, by virtue of your desire to fit in, get along, interact, associate with, basically, have social interaction, by virtue of this, it's almost like through osmosis. In other words, because you're around it, and if you don't become aware of what is going on, unbeknownst to you, as I say, inadvertently, subconsciously, if you are not aware of the fact that this person is a narcissist, a psychopath, malignant in some way, and you are trying to get along, you're trying to have a relationship with this person, you are trying to, make the relationship better, you're trying to accede to their requests, their lifestyle, and things of that nature. And so you develop in like kind the energetic vibration within your mind, your body, your emotional body, your physical body, and then you will basically through psychological reciprocity begin to think along their thought patterns. You will begin to think like they do. And especially because the narcissist has a certain pleasure or drive to control and manipulate others, and as well as this psychopath as well, they want you desire for you to be manipulated and controlled according to that pathology. And so the unhealthy, the toxicity, the kind of, betrayal of your own inner guide, your own values, the boundary enmeshment, the boundary violation where, you're becoming distracted, you're taking risks that ordinarily you would not be taking in your life for this person. You're staying up way too late. You're getting into gambling or drinking or drugging, or you're sacrificing too much of yourself, your self-care, your professional pursuits. You're going against your inner grain for this person, and you're basically overriding your sense of morality. You're overriding your own sense of right or wrong, and you are now thinking like they do. So you're mimicking in kind what they do. So by virtue of the law of psychological reciprocity, you begin to think like that and act like that. And you might, find that, it dawns on you, I am not happy. This is not the real me. So it might take people a couple of days to discover that, a couple of weeks, or a couple of couple of years, or in a lot of people's case, a couple of decades, where they go, they've shut down their authenticity for too long. Something, we call that basically an epiphany, an aha moment, where you realize, this is not the real me. The real me has been denied for too long, has not been desired or pulled out of me for too long, and I've not lived from that space. And so once again, it's a permission-based space where you get into and say, okay, this is the real me. I like peace and quiet. I like to go for walks. I like to eat healthy. I like to, worship. I like to go gardening, fishing, to art fairs, music. I like to rehab my house. These are, or I like to work out. A lot of these then become an apathy in your life, means, a sort of like, I don't really care about myself anymore. I'm not important. I don't know what I want. That is basically stemming from apathy, or from the repressing of the, positive validating of you. It's in other words, it's like, if you don't, in neuroscience, it basically tells us that, neurons that wire and fire together basically become stronger. So if you have habituated, in other words, stayed with this person long enough and basically been their support, been their supply, for lack of a better word, and you have now habituated yourself, you've strengthened the neural networks in your brain to become that identity, that mood, and, that disposition to be as you react or relate to them, and it's not the true you, basically, then the real you, the neural network has been unpruned. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a seed or a flower that's been like yanked out. It's like the real you has kind of like been yanked out, and the roots are now giving more life to that other person, which, you will feel and you will know. And so if you were to ask in your heart of hearts, is this relationship healthy for me? You could, in the privacy of your heart and in the privacy of your connection with God, you could answer those questions. Or is this behavior positive for me? Yes or no? And if you can answer that in the privacy of this village right here, YouTube village, and in the healing channel, in the work that we're doing here at Peace and Harmony, if you can make this basically a safe space where in the moment of while you're attending in and tuning into these questions, if you can ask yourself, is this bringing out the best of me, yes or no? Your internal guiding system will answer. You have everything that you need within, but oftentimes the narcissist does not want you to connect to that. They want you to see their needs, their manipulation above and beyond yours, and then it's the violation of self that the narcissist oftentimes requires, and they take really kind of a sadistic pleasure of seeing that this person is, has violated their standards, especially in the state of the psychopath or sociopath. They see when you're falling off of your own life wagon. They see that you're falling off the wagon. They see you abandoning yourself. They see you getting lost. They see that you're making wrong decisions. They see that you're hurting. They see that you're succumbing to their manipulation in the sick, sadistic ways. This person is getting undressed for me in the parking lot, or this person is, refinancing their house so I can live there, or this person is now, giving me their social so we can share bank accounts. I mean, the psychopath, the sociopath sees exactly what is going on, and then it's in the blink of an eye then, that you learn this person who you thought was A, B, and C is now actually X, Y, and Z. They're a whole different person, and it's oftentimes, it leaves people aghast, dumbfounded. And so, but what you have to understand is that the thought patterns that these people exemplify, the opinions, the values, the judgments, the criticisms that they have, oftentimes you accept as your own, or you adopt them in order to quote unquote get along or continue in a relationship with this person. And if they're narcissistic, if they are sociopathic, you will find that your thought patterns will begin to mimic those in kind and in like, almost like silly putty. If you were to take, do you remember back in the day, silly putty? It's like a piece of clay or polymer or whatever it was, and you could stick it on a comic book, and then you would, see the imprint of that, and then you'd pull it and stretch it. Very much, it's like the same way, where you can basically pick up the same imprint or the same thought patterns of the narcissist and begin to see and enact those. But as you clear it out and erase it, you'll see that oftentimes, it's not the real you. This was an adaptation, an adjustment that you made because you were so surrounded by it. You had picked up so much of that while you were around there. And, and it was part of your inner network. It was part of your blueprint. It's part of what I call your template for your identity and your thought patterns, how you think, feel, behave, and then experience. So it's then when people eventually, they might discover this after weeks, years, or decades that, wow, as I say, your ladder is up the wrong tree. Your ladder is up the wrong wall. Where you're at is not where you want to be. And climb down, get rid of the ladder, get rid of the narcissist, and then sort of their rung of becoming more supply, and really, clear that out of your physical, psychological, and emotional space. Begin to get more in tune with your own authenticity and organize your own mind according to what is healthy for you. So oftentimes it's what you've been procrastinating on, which is the real you, and living in the denial, whether it's, you need to take a class, or you need to get healthier, or you need to stop spending money that way, or you need to stop living that way, or going, around those people. As I say, a lot of people, they find that they're in this whole clan of people, whether they drink, drug, motorcycle, tattoo, whatever it is, that whole, situation is that it's involved in, that's not the real you. Recall the real you. Just be like, what? I'm recalling myself. I'm now, getting rid of that, that broken part, which, that person had basically created or put in place in my life. I'm now recalling myself, and I'm now getting back to the blueprint and getting in tune with the real me. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I am drinking, I'm swallowing the authentic me, and I'm acknowledging what truly makes me happy, fulfilled, at peace, where I feel safe, and I feel like I'm not in a constant state of fear or pressure of having to please, adapt to, adjust to this person and think in a sort of pathological, malignant, narcissistic, or psychopathic manner. Is peace and harmony with you here today? I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.